Hello students, how are you? Hope that you all are fine by the grace of Almighty Allah. I am also fine. In my previous class, I have discussed about some basic rules of tag question. Today, I am going to discuss about some more rules, and at last I will solve some examples. Let's start the class. Before starting the class, I welcome all of you to the online class of Narangganj High School and College. Okay. Today's our first rule is, if the sentence is a complex sentence, we will get two clauses in it. One is subordinate clause and the other is principal clause. But remember, for making tags, we have to follow the tense and subject of the principal clause. That means we all know, according to the formation, there are three kinds of sentence: simple sentence, complex sentence and compound sentence. A tag question is not always in a simple sentence. Sometimes it may be in a complex sentence. A complex sentence has two clauses. One is subordinate clause and another is principal clause. So, if the sentence is a complex sentence, we have to follow the tense and subject of the principal clause for making tags. If we follow the tense and subject of the subordinate clause, then the answer will not be correct. The answer will be correct when we will make tag question following the tense and subject of the principal clause. For example, as they invited me, I went there. You know, this is an example of complex sentence. Here, as they invited me, it is subordinate clause. I went there, it is principal clause. So we have to write the answer of that question following the subject and verb of principal clause. Here verb is went, that means it is verb to. So I have written did. This sentence is a positive sentence, so I have written not. And here subject is I, so I have written I. So the answer of this statement is didn't I. Though he was poor, he led a happy life. Here, though he was poor is subordinate clause, he led a happy life is a principal clause. So we have to make question tag following the verb and subject of principal clause. Here he is subject and led is verb. As led is verb to, we have to write did. As it is a positive statement, we have to write not. And here subject is he, we have to write he. So the answer of this statement is didn't he. Students, our next rule is, the short form D may indicate the verb would or had. If the form of principal verb after it is in base form, it indicates would. but if the form of principal verb after it is in past participle form, it indicates had. Students, this is a very important rule. Sometimes had and would are in short form. Then it is difficult for us to understand if it is had or would. In that case, principal verb plays an important role. If the form of principal verb after D is in base form, it indicates would. But if the form of principal verb after it is in past participle form, then it indicates had. Look at the example. I would meet you in time. Here, meet is verb 1. So here D means would. So the answer of that question is wouldn't I. D completed the task. Here completed is verb 3. So here D means had. As we know, if the form of principal verb after D is in verb 3, it indicates had. So the answer of that question is hadn't I. Our next rule is, if two subjects are added by, as well as, together with, along with, then the subject of the tag question will be according to the first subject. Let me explain it. Sometimes in a sentence we find two subjects, and that two subjects are connected by, as well as, together with, along with or and. If two subjects are connected by, as well as, together with, along with, not by and, then the subject of the tag question will be the first subject. Look at the first example. He as well as his friend came here. Here we find two subjects. The first subject is he and the second subject is his friend. Here these two subjects are connected by, as well as. So if we want to write the answer of this statement, our tag subject will be the first subject. Here the first subject is he. So the answer of this statement will be didn't he. Here verb is came. It is verb 2. So the auxiliary verb is did, and as this is a positive statement, we have to write not. So the answer of this statement is didn't he. She along with her friend went there. Here she and her friend are two subjects, and these two subjects are connected by, along with. So the tag subject will be she. As we know, if two subjects are connected by, along with, the tag subject will be the first subject, not the second subject. Here verb is went. It is verb 2. So we have to write did as auxiliary verb. As this is a positive statement, we have to write not, and subject here is she. So the answer of this statement is didn't she. If two titles are connected by and if the two titles are preceded by the, then the text subject will be they. Okay students, sometimes we find two titles in a statement, and generally the two titles are connected by and. But if the two titles are preceded by the, then our text subject will be they. Look at the first example. The headmaster and the chairman attended the meeting. Here, headmaster is a title, chairman is another title, and these two titles are connected by and the two titles are preceded by the. That means here text subject will be they. So here verb is attended, that means verb to. As it is a positive statement, we have to write not. So the answer of this statement is didn't they. But if two titles are connected by and if one title is preceded by the, then the text subject will be he or she. Look at the example. The headmaster and chairman attended the meeting. Here we find two titles. The first one is headmaster and the second one is chairman, and the two titles are connected by and. But here only one title is preceded by the. So the text subject will be he or she. The headmaster and chairman attended the meeting. Here verb is attended. It is verb to. So we will write did as the auxiliary verb of this statement. As this is a positive statement, we have to write not, and then subject will be he, because here only one title is preceded by the. So the answer of that statement, of this statement, is didn't he. Okay students, our next rule is, if we get the words summer, fire, sun, sheep as a subject in the sentence, we use the pronoun he in the subject of tag question. But if we get the words moon, sheep, country, river as a subject in the sentence, we use the pronoun she in the subject of tag question. That means sometimes summer or fire or sun or sheep sit as a subject of a sentence. If you find these words as the subject of a sentence, you will write he as the pronoun of these words, because these words are regarded as masculine words. Again, we can write it instead of these words, because these words are lifeless object or lifeless words. Again, if you find moon, sheep, country or river in a sentence, you will write she as the pronoun of these words, because these words are regarded as feminine words. Again, we can write it in lieu of these words because these words are lifeless objects. Look at the example. The first example is summer is a hard time. Here we find summer as a subject of this sentence. We know summer is a lifeless word or lifeless object. So, as the pronoun of summer, we can write it as it is a lifeless object. Again, we can write he because summer is regarded as masculine gender. So the answer of this statement is isn't he or isn't it. Look at the second example. The moon is beautiful. Here subject is the moon. Here we can write it or she in lieu of the moon. So the answer of this sentence is isn't she or isn't it. She or isn't it. Imperative sentence. If an imperative sentence starts with a verb and indicates request, order, advice, you will use one of the will you, would you, can you, could you in answer. That means if an imperative sentence starts with verb, then we can write will you or would you or can you or could you. Look at the first example. Open the door. This is an example of imperative sentence because this sentence has started with verb. So the answer may be will you or would you or can you or could you. If an imperative sentence starts with the word let's or let us, the tag will be shall we. That means if an imperative sentence starts with let's or let us, we will write the answer of that statement shall we. Look at the example. Let's play football. Shall we? Let us do it. Shall we? Our next rule is if an imperative sentence starts with the word don't, never, let him, let me, let her, let them, the tag will be will you. Okay students, now we will solve these examples. Our first example is Karim hardly goes there. At first, we have to decide which sentence is this sentence. This is an assertive sentence because this subject has started with subject. So, can you remember what is the structure of assertive sentence? The structure of assertive sentence is auxiliary verb plus not plus pronoun of subject. Not may be used or not may not be used. You know it. So, at first we have to write auxiliary verb. Here, goes is principal verb. So, we will write does as the auxiliary verb of this statement. This is a negative statement because hardly is present here. We know hardly is a negative word. So the answer of this statement is does he. Everyone will do this. This is also an example of assertive sentence. Here auxiliary verb is will. This sentence is a positive statement. So we will write not. That means won't. We know if the subject of a statement is everyone, we have to write the pronoun they in lieu of everyone. So the answer of this statement is won't they? Please go there. This is an example of imperative sentence because this sentence has started with please. We know if an imperative sentence starts with please, we have to write will you or won't you. I have few money. This is an example of assertive sentence. Here few is a negative word. So the answer of this statement is do I. Let's go there. This is an example of imperative sentence. We know if a sentence starts with let's, the answer of this statement is shall we. He as well as she finished it. This is an example of assertive sentence. Here we find two subjects and two subjects are connected with as well as. We know if two subjects are connected with as well as, the text subject will be the first subject. Here verb is finished, that means verb to. So we will write did as the auxiliary verb of this statement. As this is a positive statement, we will write not. So the answer of this statement is didn't he. Some of you wrote a letter. Here verb is wrote, that means verb to. So we will write did as the auxiliary verb of this statement. As this statement is a positive statement, we will write not. And we know if the subject of a statement is some of you, we will write you as the pronoun form of some of you. So the answer of this statement is didn't you. Neither of them went. Here neither is a negative word. So the answer of this statement is did they. Students, we have come to the end of our class. So thanks a lot for watching the class.